Chapter 3, A Right Turn on the National Road. The chapter begins describing Stephen Kilburn, which is one of the investigators, and Ted Blocker invited Stephen Kilburn to a meeting in Budd Hopkins' studio where there were other UFO researchers. So they had kind of like a little gang of UFO researchers back in the 70s. And Stephen Kilburn was a shy person, and he was very attractive. Like, he turned down many invitations to become a professional model, and he wanted to dedicate his career to the arts. So he was very shy and didn't make many contributions to the meeting, and he was uneasy about something. And on the meeting they were talking about hypnotic regression, because that's in some abduction cases they use hypnotic regression. So after the meeting, Steve stopped Budd Hopkins in the stairs, and they were talking, and Steven said that something happened to him back in college, that he used to have a girlfriend, and when he would drive by a certain stretch of road, like, he was very fearful of that stretch of road, and that he was thinking that something happened to him when he drove by that stretch of road. And Budd Hopkins asked him if he had like a UFO sighting of some type, and Steve said that he didn't remember anything specific, that he just had a bad feeling about that stretch of road. And Steve said that he wanted to try hypnosis. So Bob was talking to Ted Blocker on the phone, and he was just saying that Steve had a lot of conviction about the uneasiness that he felt about that stretch of road. And they were talking, and they accepted the Betty and Barney Hill abduction case as a general model for all abduction cases. And those type of abductions involve like missing time, but they will still consciously remember seeing the UFO and the occupants. Budd Hopkins likes to use the word occupant to basically describe an alien. He doesn't like to use the word alien. And the abduction itself, for some reason, it is blocked from conscious memory. So often, alien abductees remember nothing. And Budd was saying that having an hypnotic regression because of a fear of a certain stretch of highway seems like it doesn't seem like a strong reason to have hypnotic regression. But anyway, Budd Hopkins met a psychiatrist named Dr. Robert Neyman, and Dr. Robert Neyman uses hypnosis from time to time and his experience, and he has used hypnosis to help some patients overcome smoking addictions and problems with overeating and that sort of thing. And Dr. Neyman had very little information about the UFO phenomenon. So Dr. Neyman agreed to give the UFO investigators some of his time, and he was gonna use hypnosis to investigate some time lapses in some suspected alien abductions. Like there was one case where two young men and a woman were driving in Kent, Connecticut in 1973, and they saw a large hovering UFO that was kind of like dropping moving lights. Like lights were gliding down from the UFO. And it was discovered that through hypnosis that as they sat in their car, about 20 helmeted figures approached them, and the next thing they knew, the figures were no longer there. And in another case, Dr. Neyman was working with a man, and this man went under hypnosis, and while he was under hypnosis, he suffered paralysis on both of his arms. And that is something that other suspected abductees have suffered. And even when they come out of the hypnosis, they still are suffering from paralysis in both arms. So Dr. Neyman introduced to Budd Hopkins, a tech blogger, another psychologist named Dr. Gerard Franklin, which was a colleague of Dr. Neyman. And this doctor, also knew hypnosis. And he was going to help Budd Hopkins, a tech blogger, with hypnosis for their UFO investigations. So they arranged for a 2-hour time period so that Stephen Kilburn could go under hypnosis. And Dr. Franklin was not interested on the UFO phenomenon, and he was actually very skeptical. So Ted, Stephen, and Dr. Franklin and Budd Hopkins were at the office of Dr. Franklin, and Steve apologized because he said that he doesn't expect that this hypnotic regression was gonna yield anything meaningful. He was kind of like setting the standards low because he didn't think that nothing fruitful was going to come out of this. So Steve sat down on a leather couch, and they were going to begin the hypnotic regression, and Ted set up a cassette tape recorder to record the hypnotic regression.